Hey guys, today we're going to be looking at the Compaq Deskpro EN. It's a rather small form factor machine, as you can see. Not really a huge fan of OEM machines, but I really like this one. It's a really small form factor. It's kind of legendary in the fact that it's not like a steel case, really like an old IBM machine, but it does have a reputation of just a solid performer. You can leave it on for years and years and it works. I've heard of it working as a workhorse at an office and whatnot for just years and years. So it does have a good reputation as that. I had an opportunity at a friend in Chicago who sometimes finds some cool things for me, and he asked me if I wanted it because he found it for a really low price. It's small, shipping wasn't gonna be bad, so I said sure, and he ended up sending it to me, and I actually really like it. Not a lot of room for expansion. You've got your floppy drive port and a CD port. It's got a Pentium III inside, which we'll look at. It really was designed for 2000 and Windows 98. This thing makes a really good Windows 98 machine. If you don't have a lot of room, or you only have space for a couple computers and you want a retro setup, this is a really good option. In BIOS, you can actually turn the L2 cache off and it slows this thing down considerably. I did some benchmarks and it came up around the speed of a fast 386, which is really good for older DOS games. So if you have Windows 98 and you're using real DOS mode, and you can kick it into that, turn off the L2 cache, and you can really slow this thing down. So that makes it really nice for anything from early 90s DOS stuff all the way up to turn of the century Windows 98 stuff. Got your power button, two convenient ports right in front for audio. You have your microphone and headphones. This machine has an 866 megahertz Pentium III. I believe it's the copper mine. I'm not really sure what the other 128 might be, the RAM that it originally came with. 8, I think, is the size of the hard drive, but I did add some stuff to it. Take a look at the back here. Built-in VGA, PS2 ports, USB, Ethernet, parallel port, more audio ports, serial port. But you can see right here I've added a video card and a sound card. We'll get to that. So let me open it up. Let's take a look inside this thing. Okay, so theoretically this case should come off really easy. It doesn't, there's no screws, it's screwless. There's these tabs right here that you press in and then you pull. So let's see. It's been giving me some trouble. There we go. And then it just kind of lifts up, and that's it. So you can see inside it is very compact. There's not a whole lot of room for ventilation in there. Let's see, let me see what this hard drive is. I think this should be the original hard drive. Yeah, this is the original hard drive. I haven't booted this thing up for a little while, so I don't recall. Wait. Oh, here we go. It's a 15 gigabyte. So I guess the number 8 doesn't correspond with the hard drive size, but it's a 15 gigabyte drive. This is the original drive that came with it. Let me see. Okay, so there's a 15E on the case, so I'm guessing that's the hard drive size. Power supply looks like a proprietary form factor. It's got a fan on it, and the front lifts right up. Take a better look here. So this lifts up, kind of neat. Really not a whole lot of room. Like I said, you got the internal bay here for a hard drive. You got this, I guess theoretically you could put any 5.25 inch drive in there, so like a flock drive. Really with a machine like this, you really want the CD drive. And then you've got your floppy drive here. I guess theoretically you could put a zip drive there if you wanted. And here, the other cool thing is it uses kind of a riser card, and it pops right out. So the big negative thing with this machine, if you want to use it as a DOS machine, is it only has 3 PCI slots. So that means no ISA slots. And that's really going to kind of hurt you within the sound card department, because if you're running a lot of DOS games and you're running DOS a lot, you really want an ISA sound card. DOS likes ISA. doesn't like PCI sound cards too much. Video card, not really a problem, but with the sound card, you might run into some problems. What do I have here? Sometimes these machines have, I think it's a TNT2 graphics card chipset. This one does not. I will do a closer look at the motherboard. I'll show you in a second. So I did add a card. This is a NVIDIA GeForce 2 MX. Pretty decent. I guess comparable. Actually a bit better than the TNT2. It's not really the greatest card. But it works. For the sound card, I just went with a Sound Blaster Live, which a lot of people hate the live cards. I think they're actually pretty decent. I've had a lot of issues with the Vortex 2 cards, which a lot of people seem to rave about, but I really haven't. The only trouble I've really had with these live cards is finding drivers, because there's lots of drivers and there's lots of versions, and you get the wrong drivers with the wrong versions of the card. It doesn't work. It's a pain. But if you have the right card, right drivers to go with the right card, it actually works pretty well. When I was putting this thing together, I tried a lot of different sound cards, PCI sound cards with DOS compatibility, and to all the varying degrees. Funny enough, I used a Monster MX300 Vortex-based card, and it failed in installing this. It gave me like a primary PCI slot error. I think there's a way around that, but I didn't really bother. This didn't give me any problems. This works fine in the DOS games I've tried. I've tried Doom, sound works fine. I've tried Wolfenstein 3D, sound works fine. So let's take a closer look at this board here. Alright, we have a look at the motherboard. I believe, yep, see, power supply lifts up too, so it's a really convenient. There's your PCI riser slot for this thing. So it's really easy, very modular design. Here's the motherboard. Compaq got the little bike on there. So here's your CPU, the Pentium III. It's not the slot 1 form factor. I don't think that would have worked on this motherboard. It just would have been too tall. But this is the later revision of the Pentium III that's more like a traditional socket. Kind of a hefty heat sink on there. RAM slots. Not sure how much I have. I'm guessing this. I'm pretty sure this can take up to 526 megabytes, something like that. I don't really remember. I'll take a look and see how much I installed, but base, I think it came with 128. Got some caps on here that all looking good. Nothing looks too messed up. But yeah, it's a really simple board, really modular design, real good workhorse. Here's where the TNT2 chipset would have went if this was a model that came with the built-in TNT2. Right, it has built-in BGA, but I believe it's the whatever's in the chipset. It's something really generic, nothing spectacular. Same with the sound. Yeah, I don't know, the sound's something generic too. It works okay. It isn't great with DOS. I think the built-in, like when I ran Wolfenstein, it didn't do music, but it did some of the sound effects when like picking things up, and it was really bizarre and wrong sounding. So you really do want to add in a better sound card and probably a better video card. TNT2 chipset, if you have that, it's okay, but you might want to do something a little better. So I'll just fire it up real quick and we can take a look. Alright, so I've got it haphazardly hooked up here to my big CRT monitor, and people seem to like watching old computers kind of power up, so let's power this up and see how it goes. Looks okay. Follow it up. Alright, I did a quick jump edit there just because light behind me was on. It was glaring in the screen, so it's bad enough with the CRT flicker. So Windows 98 taking a minute to come up. Taking a Alright, there's the startup sound. So alright. Yep, 512 megabytes of RAM. So we've got 512 megabytes of RAM, you know, 15 gig hard. I think this is the Sound Max 3.0. That's what the original sound, the built-in sound is. At least that's the drivers and the program for it. So that's it. That's the Compaq Deskpro EN.